Let's start with a thinking question. What kind of art is your favorite kind of art to create? Use the sentence stem. My favorite kind of art to create is blank to help you out. Miss Wilson is going to give you a 10 count. If you need more time than that, please pause your video at this time. Back to me. During virtual art class, I will watch all videos, focus on the lesson, think through Miss Wilson's questions, engage in all activity. Today's agenda. We're going to start with an opening thinking question, listening and learning with a read aloud, a teacher-led activity, which is doing Hispanic heritage art based on the artist Frida Kahlo, an independent practice where we will finish our art together or independently, and then we'll have some reminders. Objective. I can learn about artists from different cultures. Purpose. To reflect about what I think about myself in different ways. Objective number 2. I can use visual and context clues to learn art vocabulary. The purpose, to learn new words in English in a different classroom. We're finally in Unit 2, Current IB Unit 2, where we are in place and time. Our central idea, the world is three-dimensional. Our learner profile for this unit is open-minded, and this time our element of art is proportion. Vocabulary that you will hear today. Hispanic, a person whose family history is from a Spanish-speaking country. Heritage, the background from which one comes. Don't forget, my Spanish-speaking friends, the words in green are in Spanish to help you make that connection between your language that you learned at home and our academic language today. Listening and learning reminders. Listen to the book. Be on the lookout for your vocabulary words. When Miss Wilson asks a question, please pause the video to give yourself time to think.
And I'm excited to be able to share my story, Frida and her Animalitos, with you today. I am an author and I wrote the words in this book, and my words were illustrated by the amazing artist John Para, and this book was published by North South. I grew up loving the artwork of Frida Kahlo. As you can see from the picture, she was a painter, and I was introduced to her work and her paintings by my mother, Isabel Maria, who was an artist. And in fact, I am sitting in front of one of my mother's paintings. And like Frida Kahlo, my mother had some struggles with medical issues. And like Frida, she put her feelings and her passions into her paintings. So that's one reason why I wanted to write about Frida Kahlo. And what I thought when I was thinking, what would I share with children about this amazing woman's life? I was intrigued by her relationship to her animalitos, to her little pets. Now, most of the pets that I'm going to talk about that Frida had, she had as an adult, her famous ones that appeared in her paintings. But using my own creative license and my love of all things magical, I write about what she might have had in common with these little animalitos while she was growing up, and what they might tell us about who she was and who she came to be, and what role her beautiful animals ended up having in her life. So let me share the story of Frida and her animalitos. This is the story of a little girl named Frida who grew up to be one of the most famous painters of all time. Frida was special. This is also the story of 2 monkeys, a parrot, 3 dogs, 2 turkeys, an eagle, a black cat, and a fawn. They were Frida's pets, and they were special too.
Let's think of a thinking question. Frida Kahlo had all kinds of animals. What connections can you make to her animals? You can use a sentence stem. My connection to Frida Kahlo's animals is blank. Miss Wilson is going to give you 10 seconds. If you would like more time, please pause the video to think out your answer. Back to me. Miss Wilson is thinking, my connection to Frida Kahlo's animals is that I have a Chihuahua at home named Little Bit.
Frida had a parrot named Bonito. Like her parrot, Frida was colorful. She liked to wear bold shades that celebrated indigenous Mexico and her own heritage. She lived in a house the color of a parrot's bright blue feather, La Casa Azul, where she grew up with her mom, dad, and sisters. Frida had a pet fawn named Granicio. Like her fawn, Frida had watchful, beautiful eyes, and when Frida closed her eyes, she remembered her life as a little girl. Here we see Frida's fawn. Frida was always with her father, a photographer who taught her to look at the world through curious eyes. Frida and her father would walk to the park to collect bugs to look at under a microscope. Frida's father also taught her to paint finishing touches on his photographs. Frida loved the small brushes and the beautiful colors. Frida had a cat with black, shiny fur, the same color as her long, dark hair. Like a cat, Frida was playful, but as a child, Frida couldn't always play. When Frida was 6, she got very sick. She was in bed for a long time, but little Frida didn't get sad or bored. Instead, she used her breath to make a mist on her window. And then she drew a door with her finger. Frida used her big imagination and curious eyes to walk out the door with a magic friend, a little girl who danced and played like a kitten.
What would you draw on the window and make come to life with your imagination? Use the sentence stem, I would draw blank because blank. Ms. Wilson is going to give you 10 seconds to think about your answer. If you need more time than that, please pause the video. Back to me. I would draw monkeys because they are my favorite animals. Let's see what happens next.
Frida was independent, like a cat. Frida's sickness left one of her legs different from the other, and children made fun of her. But this didn't stop Frida from skating and riding bikes and rowing on the lakes of Chapultepec Park so that her leg could get stronger. Frida was not afraid to do things other little girls didn't usually do. She wore overalls and boxed and wrestled. Frida had 2 spider monkeys, Pulangchang and Caimito de Guayabal. Like her monkeys, Frida could be mischievous, even when she was a teenager. When Frida was 15, she went to a school called the Preparatoria and found a group of friends she loved. Like Frida, her friends were curious to learn all they could. Together they read and studied and argued and sometimes got in trouble. Wearing matching caps, they rode donkeys through the hall of the Preparatoria and set off fireworks. Frida had an eagle named Gertrudis. Like her eagle, Frida's imagination could fly high. When Frida was 18, she was in a terrible accident. And once again, she had to be in bed for many months. This time, Frida didn't create a magic friend. She created art. Frida's mother made her a special easel and hung a mirror over her canopy bed so Frida could paint. Frida used her imagination and curious eyes to do just that. Pete, what do I need you for when I have wings to fly? And if those weren't enough pets, Frida had 2 turkeys and 3 dogs. Señor Xolotl, Señorita Capulina, and Señora Costi. Those were the names of her 3 dogs. Frida's turkeys were intelligent and sensitive, just like her. And like Frida, her dogs were warm and loving. When she was lonely or sad, she could wrap her arms around them and they would comfort her. Her Xolo dogs were the same breed that ran and hunted with the Aztecs thousands of years ago, and a reflection of Frida's heritage of which she was very proud. Frida's dogs had no hair, but their bodies were warm, and Frida gave them great big hugs whenever she felt lonely or sad. Frida's animalitos were spirited and entertaining, just like Frida. When her 2 spider monkeys were being good, Frida would hold them like babies. When they were being mischievous, they would steal socks and fruit and leap through windows so that no one could catch them. Her parrot named Bonito liked to snuggle under the covers while Frida took naps and would do tricks at the dinner table, her pats of butter. Frida's animalitos played all day in the courtyard at La Casa Azul, the bright blue house on Londres Street. Her husband, Diego Rivera, even made the animals a pyramid to climb on so that her pets could roam freely. Did you know that you could visit the Casa Azul in Mexico still? It's in Coyoacán, outside of Mexico City. I like this painting because Frida is in front of us and we're looking at her back, which is an unusual perspective that John, the artist, gave us. Frida painted and her pets would keep her company, and Frida painted all the time. When the birds sang, the dogs barked, and the turkeys danced in the garden. Frida's animals were her children, her friends, and her inspiration. Frida painted when she was sick and hurting, and Frida painted when she was happy. She also painted when Diego was gone and she was sad. But Frida was never really alone at La Casa Azul, the bright blue house on Londres Street. She had her animalitos and herself, and she painted both. Wouldn't it be a wonderful idea, students and children and parents, if you all tried doing a self-portrait yourself and tried painting? And maybe you could include your pets in your portraits, your real ones, or maybe the imaginary ones if you like butterflies, or dinosaurs, or bears, or monkeys like Frida's Fulong Chang. Frida painted herself with Fulong Chang playing with ribbons. She painted herself with Bonito, the parrot, and Señor Xolotl, the dog. She painted her black cat too, peeping over her shoulder. John Cara, the artist. Frida painted herself with all the pets she loved so much, and even butterflies and caterpillars. Her paintings were magic. Today, if you visit Casa Azul in Coyoacán, just outside of Mexico City, you might hear the sound of a bird or see a black cat jump from the pyramid that sits in the courtyard of the bright blue house on Londres Street, where Frida and her animalitos lived so many years ago. Thank you for listening to my story about the amazing Frida Kahlo.
What materials will you need today? You will need a piece of paper, a pencil, and something to color with. Ms. Wilson is going to give you 10 seconds to get those materials. If you need more time than that, please pause the video. Back to me. Who's ready to create? During this part of the video, you need to follow directions, pause the video if you need more time, try your best, color from corner to corner, and add details. Let's have some fun.
So for the next part, we are going to color the background. I went ahead and colored Frida just in the traditional colors of Hispanic heritage, bright colors, lots of reds, oranges, warm colors. What I really wanted you to see was doing the background this week. You can choose the colors for flowers on your own. In a lot of her paintings, she had lots of greenery in the background, so I wanted to show you that. I'm going to let you see some of her self-portraits as well. But you'll notice a lot of leaves because that's kind of what you see in Mexico. So here is what I am going to do for the background. I am going to kind of mix my light green and dark green. If you have more than 2 greens, feel free to go in and do that. And then I'm going to outline with black some details in the leaves. So let's see that.
So here are some of her self-portraits. You actually have a picture of her painting her own self-portrait, different backgrounds, the leaves, her animal friends, and it would change depending on her mood. So in this one, she was sad and she felt like her heart had been ripped out, or her soul, and so that's why you see the blood and the different hearts. Self-portraits change depending on what mood you're in and what you're feeling. So there's several different styles. So I'm going to start by just taking my different colors of green and just kind of doing them patchy in the different spots around the paper. Not doing a specific spot. I do tend to like to do the opposite color of whatever green I have. Like I did light green on this leaf. I want to do a dark green around it, just so that it pops a little bit more. And that may not be the style you're going for. Basically, you're going to keep coloring in little patches until the entire thing is colored, or the entire background is green. Whatever color it ends up being.
And I like to just do one color, then go in with the other color, then go back to the other color, you know, back and forth until it's done. You may prefer to do a third color at that point, or you may want to do one color all at once and the other color and just, you know, be done done with it. That's up to you. That's what makes it your art. But I find that when I don't go back with the first color again, I've got too much of one color and it just looks like you didn't do it on purpose. We want to make sure that it doesn't look messy, but it looks purposeful. Miss Wilson's daily reminder to be careful what you put underneath your paper, because if you get to the edge of it, it'll make that line. Almost all of my artwork has that line on it in some way because I forget how big that paper is almost every day. Miss Wilson is silly. You can just kind of eyeball, where's their white spots, where is it too much of one color, maybe it has 0 of the other color, or just not enough. Kind of make it to your preference. Okay, now for some details. So first I'm going to go in with my black, and I am just going to do some leaves. They have these really big kind of palm tree leaves in this area. So we're going to kind of try and mimic those. And it's not to say that this is exactly what would have been behind her, but you know, we're trying for a feel. And I'm just going to keep adding until I have the whole space covered. And remember, like these spaces in between, there might be another leaf behind it that you don't know about. It's that layering. So that is not actually no space or like weird gaps. That's actually just where 2 leaves have something behind it that you just can't tell exactly where it lands, because you only see that one part. Now you have your awesome jungly kind of feel. You can go back and add some shading specific to some of the leaves. Just a little extra outlining. Give it a little more depth. Maybe a little more in some of the gappy areas so it's a little darker. So that you can see, oh, there is something back there. Is there? Give it a little shadow effect.
You could do that with the black. You can also do that with some brown. Brown would look good here. Or some dark green to show specific shading in that particular leaf. And you don't want them all to be the same. No two leaves are going to look alike. Kind of like a snowflake. And I'm just kind of randomly choosing. Maybe do some darker with the light. Like I said, brown would look cool. Yeah, and that is lost my train of thought. That is our Frida Kahlo drawing. I hope you enjoyed, and here are some reminders as you are finishing up. All right, scholars, it's time for you to finish your work independently. But first, a couple of reminders. If you really like this piece of art, please take good care of it. When we get back to see each other in person, bring it to me and we'll store it in your portfolio. We can't do that if it has creases or is damaged. Another tip would be to take a picture. If we end up doing a virtual art show this year, or to put into your portfolio, that would really help. Today's lesson is to help us get back into the routine of art while having a little bit of fun. You do not have to send your work to me, but I would love to see it. I have my email address on the screen for you. And of course, most of all, stay safe, wash your hands. I miss you.